Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sean Andrew, back with another review. This time we'll be talking about Pretty Little Liars, Season 2, Episode 15, A Hot Piece of A. Please feel free to leave your comments down below of what you thought about the show. The girls are now returning back from the greenhouse, and they're trying to figure out what to do with the dropped phone. They then decide to contact Caleb to see if he could help, being the tech whiz that he is, even though Hanna is having her kind of reservations on about bringing him into the whole situation. But when the phone rings from a blocked number, the girls get even more spooked out until they decide to let Caleb in on just a little bit dealing with the phone exclusively. He's in trying to upload a couple of the files as the phone then becomes bricked. So apparently, whoever's looking for it knows that it's missing and decide to go ahead and shut it off. Later on, Hanna starts dodging questions about the owner of the phone, and Caleb is still really on her about it because he says, I've seen you naked, so why is it that, this phone, a stolen phone, knowing of his past is such a big deal? But of course, she again still has her reservations of bringing him into it. Then Lucas shows up. He really seems kind of out of it because he didn't want to help her study. He seems to be kind of drawing himself back, especially since Caleb has made his return. And when she asked him, "Hey, could you help us with Caleb's surprise birthday party at the lake house?" He doesn't seem like he really wants to, but in good old-fashioned Lucas, he caves in. Then over to Spencer. Spencer actually goes to see Toby to explain what had happened, and that, it can't really tell you everything just yet. Just then, they start making out in the car as Jenna's boyfriend, the cop, shows up and starts arguing over the phone with Jenna. Something going about, we shouldn't have brought somebody else in, what are we going to do now? He's trying to get her to open the front door, and she won't. This is just when Spencer ducks down, and as the cop leaves, he actually sees Toby in the car. Toby gives him this odd kind of look because the actor who plays him has some very interesting eyebrows. Like, the timing was too perfect. And they do further explain that later on. Just then, we go over to Emily, who is actually doing community service, which is, for her, not this time picking up trash, but she's actually working at a crisis hotline. The main lady there is running the new group of people, including Emily, of what to actually do when handling a live call. They use one of the transcripts from the night before, and the lady chooses Emily to help go back and forth with it. And she talks about, she recites how the person is starting to seem a little bit frantic, that they've lost something, that, they're never going to be able to get it back. They're going to get in trouble, they'll never forgive them, so on and so forth. And Emily kind of looks up. It's just like, this came from last night. And, the head lady, she's like, it's not really important. Well, of course, it's important knowing what she thinks actually happened with the person who could have been the one who dropped A's phone. So the next day, the girls all meet up, and then she reveals the information. A little bit after that, Caleb then calls them into a room to show them the picture of the doll that was on the phone once he had got the information encrypted. Spencer's like, can you send that to all of our phones? And, then again, Hanna and Caleb goes back and forth about, and he's trying to figure out what's going on. I'll accept the truth over anything else. And again, she still seems very reserved because she knows Caleb's already had issues with the cops. He has an issue going on with his biological mother, the issue going on with the woman who was raising him. So it's all kind of odd being played out right now. And she, again, is just trying to protect Caleb. The girls are dealing with enough. Adding him into it would only make it worse for her. Later on, back at the crisis center, the caller from previous night then calls again. And this time, Emily and Spencer are there, and they're listening into the call, and they realize it's Lucas who seems to be in such a frantic. Almost seems if he wants to kill himself or let it all be over with type of thing. So they then go back and tell Hanna, hey, Lucas is the one that's kind of making all these weird statements and stuff over the phone. He's calling the crisis hotline. You should be careful. And Hannah's not hearing it. Lucas has been through enough as it is. He's a sweet guy. He's always looking out for her. And she's like, do you have any other proof? Okay, then fine. She doesn't want to hear it. We're going to leave Lucas out of it. So at the lake house, Spencer learns that the picture that had the dolls in it had to be taken in the attic of the lake house because the wallpaper and the stand that the dolls were on matched the same thing that was in the picture. And out of the blue, Lucas shows up, kind of gives Spencer a good little spook. As she leaves, Lucas decides to call the crisis hotline again, where Emily just happened to have been there because she realized she took the transcript and that they're not supposed to do that. So she returns it, and that's when the phone call comes in. And that's when she hears it even more of a desperate tone in his voice of needing to do this, got to finish that. They don't understand, this and this. So she then rushes to the lake house and kind of tells him, hey, Lucas, don't do anything, crazy. And he kind of has this look like, oh my gosh, I've been found out. So as Emily leaves, Lucas then takes Hanna out on the boat, supposedly to set up fireworks. But as Emily tells Spencer, hey, I think, Lucas knows that it was me who heard it. Lucas has other ideas when Emma's on the boat. When Hannah's on the boat. Hanna starts to feel that something's wrong. Lucas stops rowing. He gives this really odd look. And she's like, are you tired? Okay, well, fine. I can take the rows. And then he stops her. Then that's when Emily and Spencer could be heard yelling out for Hanna. And he tells her not to answer. He says this is hard enough for him to do, and he needs to do this right now. He stands up. He turns around. He grabs the box that was behind him. And then Hanna hits him over the head. Well, he hits him in the back. She hits him in the back, nevertheless. He falls out. She kind of starts rowing out a little bit of distance away from him, and then one of her oars gets stuck. They break off, and as she's tussling, she ends up falling outside of the boat. She ends up making her way back to shore, and then Caleb shows up out of the blue like he just has no idea what's going on. And the boat, turned upside down, slowly makes its way to shore as well. That's practically how they end the episode. I didn't talk too much about Aria because her storyline is really muted in this one, but I'll do a quick recap on it. She is still having trouble with her parents after Mr. Fitz confessed his love for her. Now they're monitoring what she wears, says that she can't really see her friends, and that she definitely needs to cut off Mr. Fitz altogether. No goodbye or anything. But of course, throughout the episode, she made several attempted calls. Most of the time just got voicemail. And the one time she did finally reach him, that's when he said, you shouldn't call me again. There was also another heated situation between Mr. Fitz and Aria's father when he shows up at his place. And he kind of just starts talking about things, and he seems really light about the situation until he sees his bed. And I'm guessing the thought of this older man being with his underage daughter kind of set him off, because then he threatened to call the police. So I do wonder how that's going to turn out, because he did make a comment about accepting a job someplace else and that he's going to move. And, and Spencer even came, not Spencer, Hanna even came to Mr. Fitz and was like, hey, what you and she got is love. They can't, hold you guys down with all of this. But apparently the law says that they can. So I can't wait to see next week's episode. The show continues to have a lot of twists and turns, and it's done tastefully. The action is there. The comedy is there. There's never really a dull moment. It's definitely one of my top shows to continue watching. So that has been my review of Pretty Little Liars, Season 2, Episode 15, A Hot Piece of A. My name is Sean Andrew with the TV show review. Please feel free to leave your comments down below of your thoughts on the show and what you think is going to happen next. See ya.